All right. We are now rolling. Mr. Blake, how are you today, sir?
I'm excellent. How are you, Tiger?
I am great. First of all, thank you for doing this. Thank you for entrusting me to come and tell a bit of your story.
Thank you for having me.
You and I have been friends for a while on Facebook, but I don't think you really realized that we became friends a while ago, and I would always follow your exploits like on your story and stuff. And to me, you are a fascinating human being.
Why?
Because you are unapologetically yourself. And I'm a fan of people that are who they are. You know what I mean? Like,
thank you so much. I feel warm thinking of that. I do, no lie.
You're a very multifaceted person. I mean, from what I've seen, like I said, I didn't know you personally. I knew you. We have a lot of mutual friends on Facebook, and I saw a couple pictures that you had posted, and I was like, this is a fascinating human being. So I added you, and then like I said, I follow every time you post stories and stuff, I would see it. And then when we actually met in person, it was at a photo shoot that you had booked Chris Goody.
Yeah.
And then when you walked in, like he didn't. I always help him out when he does shoots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when you walked in, like I saw your eyes, and I was like, this guy kind of looks familiar. And then when you took your mask off, I was like, oh, I know him.
Yeah, you're really friendly right off the rip. It helped with the procedure of the photo shoot to just see that someone was already kind of happy to see me. I was a little worried. I was a little nervous, to be honest.
Oh, really? Why was that? Why would you be nervous?
It's been a minute since anyone, as far as I knew, was doing just even conglomerating on media or project related basis since COVID hit.
True. COVID kind of, as far as creatives go, COVID kind of punched everyone in the gut. Like nobody was really doing anything creatively for a long time.
Like I know that SAG still has a rule against anyone shooting right now. Like
really,
I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. But they're not shooting much. And if they are, I know it's just about following CDC guidelines and protocol. But yeah, for everyone that I've talked to, even I was just in LA couple days ago, I just got back, and I'd still heard that nobody was on the ground doing anything. If anyone's doing anything, it's being shot from home.
Really?
Or, I mean, I guess there are small sets like what we're doing right here. It can be done.
Yeah.
I didn't know, though. I was nervous to see that it was even happening.
Yeah.
And excited to work with Chris because I've just been, same with being friends with you for a long time on Facebook. I had been friends with him for quite a while on Facebook, and I'd seen his endeavors, the photos he'd taken on tour or studio photography of people, and I just thought, well, he knows exactly what he's doing. I've got a lot of friends that do photography, but I really want to meet face to face and learn from someone who's doing it the right way, as far as I'm concerned. And it was a great time. It was a great photo shoot, and I liked seeing you there. Not meeting you, I guess meeting you for the first time, but finally getting to meet you.
Yeah, becoming actual friends in real life and not just digital friends.
Yeah.
It was definitely a very interesting shoot. I mean, most of the time, like whenever I'm shooting or if I'm helping him with a shoot, that's how things are. It's pretty chill, it's pretty laid back. It was a very, very interesting shoot, mainly because, like I said, I had known, I guess I would say I had known of you. You know, we were social media friends for at least probably like a year, give or take, maybe a little bit more. And then it's strange how things work out to where you walk in the door and I'm like, yo, like I had knew you were out of town because when you were talking about being out of town, I was like, yeah, I know. I saw your stories that you were posting.
You saw that we were in West Virginia for a wedding.
Yeah. It was, is that what it was for? It was for a wedding? Oh, okay.
It was for a friend's wedding.
That's dope. Yeah, I had knew about that. And I was like, and then I thought about it. I was like, I hope I'm not like the creepy dude that's like, I was like, I hope I'm not being creepy right now, being like, yeah, man, I've been watching your stories.
No, not at all. I wouldn't even say it was flattering. It was relieving at first. First and foremost, it was relieving. And then secondly, I felt appreciative and even honored. I was like, someone here already knows because I booked the session. You go to a professional session and there's already that tension to do the right, to just be, I'm not wording it right. You kind of become stiff if you fall out of touch with it or you're unfamiliar, which I feel like I became. And then it broke the ice when you started speaking with me, Thaiger.
Okay.
Yeah, it was because I've never actually met with Chris either, but
Yeah,
he didn't really know who I was. That was that was really cool.
He was telling me that y'all had been friends on social media for a little while too, because I guess you're friends with people he went to school with, or I think either people he went to school with, or y'all have mutual friends, so y'all have been friends on social media for a while. And
Facebook has shown me throughout the past, since I've become an adult, I've come to find that the world is small, and Facebook was like my first glimpse into that, because you see related how just the circles kind of show.
Yeah, I say all the time that, like, before social media was really a thing, the world was huge. And now with technology, the world just gets smaller and smaller, like literally every day. You know what I mean? Because, I got friends in countries that I've never been to because of, because of Facebook, Twitter. About you. So you are a musician.
Yeah.
An MC.
Yeah.
Skater. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you also do some acting?
Yeah.
And model?
Yeah.
That's a lot of. I just want to make sure that I mean, I'm sure there's more. There's more.
Well, I mean, those are the things I love.
Yeah. Okay.
That like gives a very good array of what I love to do and what I focus my time on.
Let me ask you, what got you into? We talked a little bit off camera about why you started rapping. You said that you wanted to sing, but your voice is better for. Is that what you were saying? Your voice is better for.
When I was a kid, I actually I never had like any bullies or anything like that. But there was a time or two that from any source or other, I heard you sound like Steve-O. I heard you sound like, you just sound really raspy, and it must have drew me off from thinking that I could sing.
Yeah.
It was my original music influence that that got me into playing guitar and playing drums and learning what I did with piano was Linkin Park.
Oh, okay.
I love Linkin Park, Chester Bennington in particular.
Okay.
And so I would have loved to, and still love that music and would love to venture into that. But I think for a while I thought, well, there's already a platform where I do hear rasp, and I hear like that bold. It's just like a bold sound that I guess maybe I thought was unappealing to any style of music that would involve singing. So I just stuck to rap. But I love rap. What got me into rap was actually skipping school. One of the first times I did. Yeah, me and my buddy were smoking pot. We didn't skip the whole day. We just skipped the first two periods, smoked pot, and I think it was one of the first times I'd ever smoked pot. And he was showing me Wiz Khalifa, and of course it just all came together for me.
Yeah.
Like in that moment,
I mean, that kind of.
In that moment, I was like, well, wait a minute, this is just so blessed, and I hear nothing in here it's not negative. None of what I'm hearing here sounds like it's hurtful or it's spiteful or if it's even prideful. It's just sounds like feel good music. And I fell in love with actually not just him, Chevy Woods, Currency, Mac Miller.
I don't know if I'm hip to Chevy Woods.
He's not as big, but he's certainly a Pittsburgh legend.
Okay. Are you from Pittsburgh at all? Or are you from Ohio?
No, I was born in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
Family's military, from Norfolk. And around the age of 5 or 6, I moved up to the Slavic Village.
Okay.
Off of Fleet.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's not a good area anymore. I don't think it ever was, but as a kid,
it was certainly better than it is now, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks artsy. Looks like you could easily turn it into like a Coventry or Waterloo or.
For that matter, Virginia Beach is a lot different now than it was before.
Yeah. yeah, dude. It's pricey and I've heard it's getting bad.
Yeah, it's expensive, but like it's almost like the money isn't going to what it should be going to, because it's like if you're spending all this money out there, like where's the money going?
You gotta write a letter.
Yeah, we gotta do something.
Yeah, no, I should at least. I haven't been there in so long. I've been to Virginia quite a few, but I haven't been to Virginia Beach since I was like 12.
I haven't been to Virginia Beach probably in about 8 years, 8 or 9 years.
Oh, you've been there before?
Well, I moved here from DC. So
oh yeah, we talked.
Yeah,
about
we chatted about that for a bit. Yeah, I moved here from DC, and being in DC, like that was almost like every few weeks we'd go out to Virginia Beach or Ocean City. We'd go to either Ocean City or Virginia Beach.
I don't know if I've ever been to Ocean City. Is that in like Maryland?
Yeah, Ocean City's in Maryland. Yeah.
Yeah. How far away is Virginia Beach from DC? Like 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah, at least 3.
Do you go through the tunnel underwater in Virginia Beach?
I don't know. I don't think so. I know at one point, like, so the way we take at one point, I think the highway like does a U-turn. Like you gotta like slow all the way down and then turn and like come back. It's like towards the end of the journey. But usually I sleep for the journey. I'm in the backseat sleeping. I don't.
It's hard for me to sleep on the way to Virginia Beach. I remember driving through West Virginia. Actually, even the other day when we went to West Virginia, if I know I'm in West Virginia, I'm up. Because it's such scary roads, and I don't trust any driver not to go off those roads.
Yeah, driving through West Virginia can be pretty sketchy. If you're closer to the city, it's not so bad. But once you're like
Charleston?
Yeah, but once you're like outside of any of that, where you're driving and there's literally like mountainsides on each side of you, yeah, it feels kind of sketchy.
It just looks like the curb is so the shoulder is so unforgiving.
Yes,
there is no getting off the road and going, oh, geez.
Yeah, like you're not gonna hop off and change a tire and it'd be a simple process.
Yeah, no.
I had a couple weird experiences in West Virginia because we got to go through there. From here, you have to drive through West Virginia if you drive down to Florida. So yeah, we've had to stop and get gas, and the places that we stopped at weren't exactly.
I can imagine. Actually,
yeah, wasn't exactly the kind of place that you want to stop, especially if you got a tan like me. You might not want to. You might not want to be doing that at all. So, so you're an MC.
Yes,
but you are also a singer. Is that okay to say that you also sing, or you dabble in it a little bit?
I think. Oh yeah, and I like to sing. And now I trust my voice. I think I've got a very good range and control of my pitch or muscle memory, whatever the terminology is called. I've gotten a lot better, and I try to throw influences of it in the latest music I've released, which just happens to be rap. So there is a bit of singing in there, but not yet. I was waiting. There's been a lot of things that have led up to this year. A lot of music was supposed to be released way earlier.
Yeah.
And some music already was released. There was a song that I have that I just put on my album that already was released years ago, but it was under a band name. Me and several other artists were going under a collective name. And then down the timeline, which is why I had to make these notes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, when did Eddie go to the Marines? When did things changed? And so it took a while for me to just feel like, okay, well, I'm gonna go by Blake Davis. We're gonna get this going, and no matter what, at least now the names are being because there's just so much music that wasn't being pushed.
You just released something recently, didn't you? I saw you. I think you had posted a video of a release. What was it? You had posted a YouTube link to a video of a song that you just released, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, if it's within the past week,
it's
so there's a buddy of mine who's been just releasing my music I've already released, as well as he leaked. Like, I didn't know how I wanted to release this freestyle I recorded in LA, so I asked him if he'd just leak it. And then it would just kind of force me then at that point to go, okay, well, I don't know how to promote this, but I do know that if I get it out there, I'll feel better.
Yeah.
And it's already out there on this guy's platform, so now I have to. And so I did. I haven't officially dropped it on Spotify, but it's on SoundCloud. It's called Clay Pigeon.
Okay,
and it is on YouTube through a channel called Nightly and Night Drop.
Yes.
Yeah, they've been kind enough to every song I've sent them drop it for me, and I appreciate that. But I haven't figured out how I wanted to put Clay Pigeon on my own YouTube yet. Because I have a video recorded, like a music video, but it's only like a couple of performance takes out in the desert, and it's not enough for me to
actually put out as a video.
I feel good about it.
Okay.
So I just dropped it because it's a freestyle anyways, but I made the beat.
Okay. So you're a producer as well.
I make most of the beats. There's only like one or two that you may hear of my music that I didn't make.
So we add producer to the list of hats that you wear.
I love hats, especially beanies.
I when you had posted it, I don't know if you posted it or if Patrick posted it. I think you posted it.
So Patrick, I
think Patrick, did you post it or did? Okay, so Patrick posted it. Listen to it. You are dope. Like,
thank you.
Really, you're dope. And I have a very low tolerance for whack MCs. Like I'm not a fan of like, I don't know. I just like good music, and what I listened to, I definitely enjoyed a lot.
Thank you so much.
For sure. So that was, huh?
I don't know how to promote it. I've lost this.
I mean, we can.
So it's kind of I've lost touch with things that certain agencies have shut down too. I've noticed agencies that were once like I would almost consider them like needed. Once I got in contact with them, now they're out of like you probably don't know who Jimmy. Do you know who Jimmy Wapo was?
Jimmy Wapo, I know that name.
He's a Pittsburgh artist. He died last.
Okay.
I think it was last year. Rest in peace. But the agency he was going through is who I was going through. They shut down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I don't know how to promote anything right now. Like that's a topic for another time.
I mean, we could talk about it now. This is any and everything dealing with you, whatever you want to talk about. I mean, as far as promoting your music, it's seems like these days, like social media is the way to do it.
One thing is, so a couple months ago, when I had my studio in Gates Mills, me and my buddy Crispy recorded a song, which he finally released. We've been working together. So he's in Human Behavior.
Okay.
He's in Crying Out Loud. He's in Stockholm Syndrome. And then, so he's in my music, because originally those 3 songs were going to be part of this band called Orca. Killer White, Black and White Whale, Killer Whale.
You talking about the Clay Pigeon song?
No, this is all me.
Oh, okay.
And I made the beats for all those too. So they could have just been released as Blake Davis featuring this and that.
Mm-hmm.
But we had Eddie as well, who's a rock vocalist and a guitarist.
Okay.
So I didn't really want to pin him into this mixtape style featuring method, this
right.
format. I wanted to try to give it some sort of name that he would like, because he was always into being in a band. And I think right now he's doing really well in a band ever since.
What kind of music was that? That you were doing with them?
I mean, it's still rap. It's just
Okay.
like, so Human Behavior hasn't changed. Crying Out Loud hasn't changed, in Stockholm Syndrome are the exact same way as they were when they were underneath Orca. But what we were trying to do is kind of break into this realm where you're like mixing grunge and hip hop.
Okay.
And I wanted to do that with just sounds first before I brought in guitars and rasp. Like, I wanted to kind of first to see what sounds are sharp, what sounds give you that ominous,
right,
melancholy vibe. Anyways, how can I make these trap beats, but I can make them hit kind of, I guess now that there are artists that have come out, like Juice WRLD, I would describe it in that. I didn't know what I was doing in the moment, but I was trying to hit this pop grunge hip hop fusion where it was uplifting, the lyrics that were like prideful, but the beat was very sad, and that was the intention.
Something you just said. You said you didn't know what you were doing in the moment. Something that I've I don't want to say realized, but like in speaking to people, quite often, is a lot of forward-thinking people tend to say that same thing. You know what I mean? A lot of visionary people, or people that think beyond what is presented to them right now, and a lot of people that are extremely creative, extremely forward-thinking, tend to say that, like, when they're doing something, they're like, I don't know what I'm doing in the moment. And that's not saying that like you're lost in life, you don't know what you're doing, but it's, you have this. Now I'm mixing my words up. You have this like you have this like creative fire, and you want to get it from your head into a sonic presentation, you know what I mean? And
it's like it's in your soul. You're trying to collect it. You're trying to collect it as quickly as it's coming, or you're living through it.
Yes.
If you can express it as quickly as you're feeling it.
And it seems like you were a bit ahead of your time when you were doing that, because in the time from then, you said that was a few years back. It's like people have played catch up and kind of started doing what you were originally like trying to do at the time.
All I've ever needed, and even back then, I guess, was just a solid campaign plan for release. Like, we had a music video, I directed it, but my buddy, we paid my buddy Adam Huffman to help, and he's great with the camera, and his buddy Dave Pelosi and her girlfriend Paige, they were there, and they let us use her house. They let us use his house, Dave Adams' house in Eastlake. It's a biggest house I've ever seen in Eastlake. It's massive, and it was so nice of them to do. And we, within 2 weeks of I should start this way. Within 2 weeks of me making the beat for Human Behavior, we had already had Adam ready. He said we could use the house. We'd already recorded all our verses, had it mixed and mastered. I recorded it. We had our buddy Scooter Fort master it.
Okay.
And he has his own studio now. I forget where it is at the moment, but he's doing pretty well. And like, it all came together so quick. We casted the Human Behavior music video, which required like, I think, like 4 girls, 5 girls, and a whole scene with people partying. Right. And we just did that so quickly, and then it was done in 2 weeks. And I went down to DC for my 21st birthday. Okay. The very next day, I left the club. I'd never been to a 21 and up club. I was allowed to. So I went to DC to do so, came back up, packed my bags, and drove off to California. So he's like, I don't even know what I was doing. Is what I'm saying. It just happened. The momentum was great. Yeah. And everything fit together so well.
Everything
The
just
only thing
clicked.
we
Boom, boom, boom,
The only
boom.
thing we lacked is once I got to California, I got a little lost. I did not in like any particular thing, but I forgot that promo of what I just made. I didn't even release it yet, but what I just made was still the most vital thing I needed to worry about. And I looked at it as, well, I have a finished product here. It's so good, just wait. And I didn't even think about it. So there was quite a while where that didn't even go anywhere anyways. It probably killed the momentum of this band we were trying to make, is that Eddie went to the Marines, I went to California, and then my other buddy, Crispy, he's probably my favorite favorite rap artist in Cleveland.
Really?
I wish he probably could have came with me, but I know he just moved into a new place and he's getting settled in, and I didn't want to bother him. But we write so much together. He could be here right now.
I mean, if you co-sign him, I'll get him on here at some
he's
point.
Great,
we'll do another one with him.
I'll show issue with him is he's shy. Like, he's just so freaking good at rap. He's a poet, and he tells a story too. He brings you along for the ride. But then when it comes to marketing or trying to promote it, of course, for any reason, he's a little shy. And I think it's kind of like the craftsman versus the salesman. You know, it takes away, to be good, you got to be both, but at least at first. But it kind of takes away from the craftsmanship when you're thinking, how do I pitch this then?
Yeah.
Who am I pitching it to, and how hard do I pitch?
Right. You said he's shy. Is that something that you've ever dealt with? Like, are you shy at all? I mean, you don't come across.
I was nervous to show up just because I was like, okay, well, this is gonna be something where try not to say something silly.
How do you whenever something makes you nervous like that? How do you overcome it? Like, do you have a process?
It's like a high.
Okay.
When you're nervous for something, when you're like you feel like there's a height you're about to jump. And you know it's not. You know it's not a big feat. It's going to be a blessed experience. Mm-hmm. It's like when you finally realize roller coasters won't kill you.
Yeah.
I love that feeling.
Most of the time they won't kill you.
Right. That's a disclaimer.
I just watched this documentary. It's like a class action park. Have you ever heard of this place? It was like what's our freaking amusement park? It's like a Cedar Point.
Yeah.
But no rules. And people were getting hurt literally every day. And people were dying like every week. Somebody got killed.
Where is it at?
I think it was either Texas or Atlanta, one of the two.
Texas.
it might have been California, but like.
No, you really think so, though?
I mean, there's a documentary on Netflix called Class Action. Yeah,
Park.
Class Action Park. It's
California. That makes sense.
And they have like all the owner, I guess, made up an insurance company to handle like all the claims, because people were suing him. So he just made up an insurance company, and like people weren't getting paid out. It's bananas.
Wow, you must have just been really good with his words and had some sort of money. Like he had something to show people.
I mean, it was also the 80s too. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. I thought you meant like recently.
No, hell no.
Wow, that does seem like something you can try and get away with for a small amount of time,
right?
Like a period once, and then you are the example of why that'll never happen again. You're the poster child.
It happened in the 80s. I think they were around for like almost 10 years or something like that.
What? That seems long. Yeah. 10 years for a place like that.
I mean, then again, people were doing wild shit in the 80s. It was a wild time.
There's a dark horror park there's like a horror themed theme park somewhere in the world called Dismayland. I was reading about it like 2 years ago, and that's what I thought you were about to talk about.
Oh, no.
It's supposed to
I
look
haven't
like
even heard about
Disneyland,
that.
but it's like dark.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it sounds cool, actually. I forget. I think it's in Europe somewhere.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is. We can't have none of the cool stuff. Like,
no, we're the like too much of a my bad. We're the person that ruins a good thing for everyone else.
Yes.
We spill the beans.
Yeah, we're the one that shows up at the party. America's the one that shows up at the party super drunk and starts breaking things.
Right. This is why we can't even have parties.
Yeah. So what got you into, which one came first? Did, you said you started playing guitar and things like that. Did the music making side of it come first, or did like the vocal MC side of it come first?
Orchestration.
Okay.
Like making the music. I think of music all the time. I think deep down I'm like a drummer. I have all the instruments in my house, but I particularly love to drum, and I have like rhythms going on in my head all the time. I have ADHD. diagnosed, and I don't know if that's
you and me both, brother. You and me both.
Yeah. I don't know if it's an excuse for anything in particular, but I will say, like, I'm not the only one who I know has to keep a rhythm. A rhythm helps, no matter what that is. And I've noticed that too, based on my energy level throughout the day.
That's probably why I'm a DJ. So
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you're the pulse. Yeah, and that's really what you're just. I feel like with ADHD, when you have that, you're just trying to keep the pulse of whatever's going on or whatever you're doing. How many? So I like making beats.
How many instruments do you play?
I can play guitar. I mean, bass that comes with guitar. I can play bass pretty well too. I know how to riff on the piano because I produce. So I use a MIDI keyboard. So I at this point know a little bit of the keyboard, but I don't know how to read. I don't know how to read any music by theory.
Either.
I know I learned guitar by tab. I think most people do.
Yeah.
My best instrument's guitar, but the one I utilize most is probably drums because it's in my head all the time. So I just get something in my head, I'll go down, and I usually lay like a percussion track down before a loop.
Oh, okay.
I see, like, when I go to my buddy Joel's, he's in Miami right now, just got there. Usually he'll come up with a loop and ask me to make the drums, and that works for me. Like, if I have a duo, if I have someone else who's good at just coming up with I can do so too. I do it by myself all the time, but I tend to like to throw the drums in where they're not already present.
So do you do drum programming mostly, or do you often play live drums over tracks?
I've never mic'd my drums.
Okay.
I don't even know where to begin doing that.
So do you come up with the ideas on the drums and then go program them in?
No. At this point, I use my MIDI and my sampler pad. And
so when you're playing your drums, that's just for fun?
Yeah. At this point, it's becoming where I've put them in storage before when I moved to LA. They're kind of obnoxious. I should just get an electric kit.
Those electric kits are really nice.
Yeah. But I mean, there's something about that hardware. I look at all the instruments, and then I look at the drums, and I'm like, damn, there's so much to you. And
there definitely is.
And you can make such a unique custom set, depending on the size of the drums, the type of cymbals you have, the size of the cymbals, where I love brass.
I've heard that. Somebody told me that they're like every person's drum, like when you're talking to like drummers, every drummer's drum set is unique to them, almost like a fingerprint. Like you could almost tell, you could almost like look at somebody's set and be like, oh, that belongs to such and such, or that belongs to so and so.
Probably like selection as well as just how they angle the drums, where they like to sit, what's comfortable for them. It's so specific. Yeah, like you don't really change a guitar to your liking. But the drums. You
just play what's there. Same thing with piano. You don't really change it too much. You kind of just sit down at it and play.
Yeah, drums feel like they're yours. They're your reckless machine.
That's how I am about my laptop. I can't DJ from anyone else's laptop. Like I can rock on any set of CDJs, any set of turntables. But if somebody's like, "Yo, I got my laptop here. Like, do you wanna play some tracks?" I'm like, "Nah," because my organization of stuff is, the way that I have it, and nobody else's library will look like mine.
I couldn't see if I were DJing wanting to use anyone else's computer at all.
Yeah.
You don't even know where their files are. If things looped up right. I've never like live DJ'd, but I imagine like that's just something I want to know from the very beginning to the end of my set list I've created, that it's fit for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely I'm not a fan at all of using other people's laptop. What got you into skating?
That's probably, besides drums, because that was the first thing I ever remember, like, just getting into as a hobby. Skating when I was, like, in 7th grade. I don't know, it was awesome to me. It came at a pivotal time. I had been going through family issues, like with the higher-ups, your parentals.
Yeah.
There was things going on, and it was a great escape. I never went to the park when I was a kid. It wasn't until high school that I started going to the skate park and actually being, like, social with other skaters. It's where I kind of learned to mingle. I mean, I was always cool in school, but once I hit that skate park, which was around like 9th grade, before then I used to just love the street skate alone, listen to music, be by myself, find cool things, little ledges, little banks and curvatures.
Like an escape.
Yes, but not that escape blossomed because then there was the skate park, and there were people there, people who are good at what you're doing. It's like a dojo.
Yeah.
And while everyone, there were some smug people. I mean, Mentor's like home to the best skaters in this area.
Really?
They were like, I think the most skaters in the movie The Land for all the extras were from Menor.
Okay.
I think like just Menor. There's a couple kids I can name off that are so phenomenal at skating, and I looked up to them because they were my age, but they had put the time, the effort in to learn something that, I mean, you're gonna bust your ass learning that. Right. It's a sport of miles. You just have to do it.
Yeah. I didn't even know that you skated for a while until on one of your stories, you were on a board. And I was like, oh, okay, he's just skating around. And then you did a trick, and I was like, wait a minute, this dude skates. Like, you skate.
I try. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, you're actually good.
Thank you so much.
Again, man, you wear so many hats. Like, there's so many things to you.
Life is beautiful and it's abundant.
For sure. You are definitely somebody that, like I was telling you before, like, you are definitely somebody that lives life, and you're unapologetically you. Now, I don't know if you've always been that way. I don't know if that's a new development, but you're definitely from what I see. Now, again, I'm not in your day-to-day life, but from what you present, you're unapologetically you. And I don't mean that, how there's a lot of people that they say, oh, I'm unapologetically myself, and that's just kind of their excuse for being an asshole. Like, right. you're not that. You know what I mean?
Or they wish it was their MO.
Yeah.
So it's just a great rationale for their poor behavior,
Exactly. And you're somebody that, so like I see your stories, I have this image or this idea of the type of person you are. And then I met you in person, and it was like, you are exactly that. You know what I mean? Like, how you meet some people and it's like, oh, this person isn't as smart as they act like they are. This person isn't as laid back as they pretend to be, or this person isn't as adventurous or whatever. Like, I met you and you were literally exactly, more so, you were exactly like the type of person that I thought you were. You were friendly, you were kind, you were funny.
Thank you.
You were fun to be around. I say word like you're not here anymore. You are.
Ghost.
Yes. So you've been skating since before ninth grade?
Yeah, I started skating around in 7th grade.
I was just letting him know where the...
I started skating in 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't skate too much just because I lived in Concord. By that point, I was living in Concord, Ohio,
right.
Going to Menor, and there's no sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know the area, like where
I've been to Menor like a handful of times. I used to date this woman that lived out there for a little bit, and where she lived, there definitely wasn't any sidewalks.
Yeah. I mean, well, Menor has sidewalks because like Menor's huge. I think aside from Parma,
mm-hmm.
Mentor is the biggest city in Ohio. As far
as
is
it?
I think it's just as far, maybe geographical size, mm-hmm. but I think just density.
Okay.
It's just big.
Mm.
Dude, okay, a Menor High School at any given time has 8,000 students. From what I remember being there.
Wow.
4 grades, 2,000 kids per class. And I knew most of my class, too. It's like, it wasn't like you got lost. I mean, you could get lost amongst the wave if you needed, like, personalization with the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
But if you like to mingle at all, or you just walk the halls between classes, you tend to... I could name off quite a bit of my class.
Yeah.
And it was huge. It was cool. I think that's part of why I'm social. Even if I don't want to be social, I know that it's a remedy for feeling shy anyways, and feeling like you... That comes from insecurity.
Were you pretty social in school, or were you kind of like in the background? So you were pretty social in school?
Yeah, it was like right around high school, getting into high school, that I stopped like hanging out with most of the group of friends that I did prior. Like in elementary, middle school, I hung out with a lot of the kids that lived near me in mm-hmm. like Carriage Hills, in Concord. People who lived near me were my friends. And then right around high school, when I met a great friend of mine named Chance, things changed. I completely switched circles. That's when I skipped class too.
Okay.
It did. It was a pivotal moment for me, believe it or not. I know it's cliche, but when I skipped class that first time to go smoke pot, things changed, and we were at the skate park. We're sitting there at the skate park, and I just thought, what a haven for me.
So that was the first time you smoked, was that day when you skipped school?
No, I'd smoked once prior in 8th grade, but it wasn't an enjoyable experience.
Really? No. Do you want to talk about that?
No, I don't. No, it was silly.
So then we'll just pretend that one didn't happen. So
right,
the one that you skipped school, that was the first time.
Yeah, that was the
And hopefully it
reset.
was a much better experience.
It was. There was one time my buddy had like 12 pounds of Cali Kush or something like that, blueberry Kush from Cali. It was just it was just like, whoa. And we smoked a little bit before school.
Wait, that was in 9th grade?
Yeah, it was like 9th, 10th grade.
Jesus, 12 pounds in 9th grade?
No, it was like ridiculous. And we didn't even realize what that meant.
Yeah.
And then so we started like meeting other kids and the counterculture of Menor High School.
Mm-hmm.
And like, wow, we were blessed. We were blessed. I was blessed just to have a friend that was just always around with it in that way. But
the friend that was around with 12 pounds.
he didn't have it, but like someone in his family had it in the house, and it was just free reign. So it was like one of those incidences where like,
so
we're blessed by association. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And at one time I was going into school, and I don't know why, but everything looked like a static TV to me, and I passed out in the upper C wing of Menor High School. And I woke up to being picked up bridal style by a teacher. He's like, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" And I snapped back too, and I was creeped out. So I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm going back to class."
Wait, when you say everything looked like a static TV,
it just went that way. I was walking.
Like you were seeing like the...
Yeah, like imagine your view just turns into static TV, and then when it clears, you're horizontal looking up, and someone's picking you up. That happened once. It was just some whoa.
I mean, I've been knocked out before, but it didn't look like static TV.
I'll remember that for the rest of my life, that one time. And I think it's just because I didn't eat breakfast before going on the bus.
That could be it.
So like,
so wait, did you smoked that day? Obviously.
Yeah, and then as soon as
went to school without eating and then smoked. Yeah, that's. I don't think that's a good combination.
And I don't think I had done that before, so it didn't stop me from doing it again, though. Did you unapologetically me? Actually, I was gonna tell you. So it's somewhere on the internet. One of my old recording buddies, when I was 17, is when I first rapped, actually.
Okay.
I was I left Menor High School just because I lived in the border in Concord. My neighborhood is on the border of Painesville, Chardon, Kirtland Hills, and Mentor. So
I know where Painesville is.
So, yeah, and it's and Leroy's over there too. I don't know if you, so I could go to Riverside. So I went to Riverside for a little bit of my senior year, and I got kicked out for selling pot. Yeah, and Mr. Wade wasn't the principal there anymore. He was at Menor, but they still, Mr. Medges or whoever he was, they'd spoken. Okay. And this dude pulled this half-ounce of weed right out of my pants. Like, he straight up. And either way, so I got cocky, and I was really mad. Things were not going too well in my life. I was acting out erratically at that point. I was unapologetically an asshole, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
For my just teenage angst, a rebel with no cause. So I went to Menor. They brought me back. They're like, yeah, you can come back to Menor. And I did. And while things were good, even though I'd always been known as a pothead, there was no issues prior. But after knowing this, that I was attempting to sell in school, they were not going to have it. So the first time they caught me with pot there, they brought me to the administration office, which is on the same property.
Right.
And my grandfather showed up, and while he knows I'm full of shit, he still stood up for me. He did.
You're like, he knows I'm full of shit.
And he knows that I wasn't being wrongfully treated.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he bless him for that, because it's on video.
Oh,
and my
really?
friend, this guy that I told you about, when I was 17, I started recording with this guy. He has footage of it, and I told him not to. I don't know when or why he did, but he uploaded on the internet under one of his little podcast segments. There's a good sect where you see me in court, and you can see in there I'm unapologetically me. I look back at it whenever I find the video. I'll send you the link if you want. It's funny because it shouldn't be up. I didn't tell him to put it up, but when I see it, I'm like, okay. I really thought I could get away with whatever I wanted back then, because I was telling these guys, like, you guys are. I was just being ballsy with what I was saying on an account to. We caught you with weed. You should be in trouble. Me going, no, you didn't. You guys are lying. Telling my grandfather they're lying, and he was just standing up to me in the video. You can see I'm just unapologetically. I thought that like I should be allowed to smoke pot, and I still do. I think we all do.
Yeah.
And I hated being labeled as a criminal.
Yeah.
Or having to smoke because I have ADHD.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't be labeled as a criminal for smoking.
It sucked. It pissed me off, and at that point, I just went into like, if this is what I am, like.
Oh wow! So you turned into a supervillain at that point,
right? And since things have gotten better, grown up, and life is very, very good right now. But I look back and I'm like, I've always had drive. If I want something, or if I think I'm right, or if if I have passion, I have intense passion.
What do you think was the turning point from you being, as you put it, unapologetically an asshole to being the Blake Davis that we see in front of us right now?
realizing that the only thing creating that chaotic world I was living in was myself.
Self-reflection.
Yeah, and I was hoping someone else would save me. I didn't even think that way. I didn't, I just thinking like, it's not my fault that I feel what I feel, and so someone else should remedy that. And just acting out, totally acting out. And looking back on it, I feel like that's a lot of what inspired my rap. So yes, I actually plan to go into singing. I have songs right now recorded that are ready to release that have me singing on them. Have Eddie again, my dude who went to the military. Like we have different genre of music now. I've just been wanting to release the rap first because I love rap. I absolutely love rap. I don't plan on stopping rap, like implementing rap into my music.
You shouldn't. You're good.
But thank you. But now that I don't feel like this outspoken little rebel, I feel like I can mellow out. I've gotten it out, and I'm so glad. If nothing else, I have a record. I have records that I can look back and go, yeah, I can hear how angry I was. I can hear how.
So a lot of your early music was a reflection of how you were feeling at that time?
Yes, that's why when I released it this year, because it needed to be released as something, I packaged the album, I titled it as Pre-Trials.
Oh, okay.
Because given my history, I was like, well, this is preliminary. This isn't final cut. This is you just getting, this is you picking yourself up and becoming the best version of you can be, and all of that. While I'm not regretful of any moment I've lived. It's certainly like this next plot of music, this next my bad. Next cottonmouth.
It's all right. Take your time.
This next wave of music will not sound or anything like the last.
Okay.
It's not going to give that feeling of angst and hurt like I think I was desperately trying to express before.
Are you going to sing more on your next project? Because I think people will probably be looking forward to that. Did you say you ranted?
My bad if I just ranted right there.
That's why we're here. That's literally why we're here. Rant on. So yeah, you're planning on singing a bit more on the next project?
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously you do all your writing yourself. You're going to be producing the whole project.
I mean, I'm open to work with others. So when I was in LA, I met up with a friend of mine from New York City. He actually came to our Airbnb last week to do a photo shoot with my buddy. It's a small world. And he showed me a beat, and it's interesting, and it's definitely I'm excited. I have several collabs that I'm working on. One's in LA and one's in New York City. I met up with both of them in LA, and neither of them sound like the old music I've made. They're not my beats, and I'm open to that because I feel like as far as lyrically, I might be able to write about other things though still, but I'm still excited when I hear beats that sound like the ones I used to listen to. I'm trying not to get stuck in that, oh man.
You don't want to stick yourself into a box.
Right. So I'm always open to beats. And I also like making beats for other people that I have no intention of writing on. Actually today, while my buddy's in Miami, me and him are packaging up an 8 to 10 track. We've made so many beats, we've never sold one to anyone. I've never tried to again, I feel like it takes away from the craftsmanship. That's probably not true. But when you have to then think about who am I marketing this to?
Yeah.
And it's kind of confusing when you are an MC and a producer. Like, what MC do I want to send this beat to in hopes that he takes it? And then at that point, how do I go from there? So, but for now, we're going to make an 8 to 10 track. By the end of the night, I'll have it prepared. Beat list. Then we're going to try to sell it and put up on YouTube as something like this and that. Go on BeatStars. Try to have it. We're going to finally release just a set of beats. I haven't done that yet.
That's a dope idea.
Why not? It doesn't hurt to have it.
I mean, diversification never hurts. I tell people to diversify all the time. Like
Diversify.
You should have multiple streams of anything that you're doing. You should have multiple streams.
I agree.
I want to talk a little bit about the acting bug that you have. Like, when did that start?
2000. Hold on. It was 2000. My bad. Dude, I'm 7 days without a cigarette.
Oh, really? Congratulations.
I've quit before, but I feel it. LA, when you're in LA, I think I've said this to you before. But I just say this too. It sucks walking out of a session to go out and smoke a cigarette in LA or out of anywhere and realize no one's coming with you. No one smokes.
Yeah, nobody smokes in LA.
I
have a friend that's out. I have a bunch of friends out in LA, and one of them moved out there from here. And one of the things he tells me all the time is that you basically can't smoke anywhere.
Griffith Park, you can't in like any of that area, the Laurel Canyon, Hollywood Hills area. I know that if it's not prohibited,
Yeah.
it's certainly not. It's not welcome.
Yeah, for sure.
They don't like it.
Like,
I mean, it's 'cause
people
it's
will
silly
give
shit.
you looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like when I go skateboarding through Little Canyon, Hollywood Hills, and all that. I try not to. You know, I used to smoke, so I just fuck it. I've been skating. I'd love a cig, and then people pass by, and you're like, "Wait, though, this is right."
You're like, this probably isn't the best idea.
They'll remember me one day and go, "That fucker." No respect.
When you're famous, they'll see you on the screen and be like, "That little shit was rolling down the street."
That's who we send this citation to. Dude, in Illinois, if they catch you, I think it's other places too, but I remember when we were driving a couple years ago, and I flicked a cigarette butt out the window, and an Illinois police officer on the highway pulled us over and said, "I saw you throw a cigarette butt. You know that, I'm just letting you know, that's a $1,000 fine," which I was okay with, because even though I smoked at the time, and I don't advocate it, and and obviously filters they're not biodegradable, so I'm okay with that, but I still was like, damn, that's Steve. It's like a DUI. It only takes once for me to realize I don't want to do that again.
That's a lot of $1,000.
Yeah. Ooh. But anyways, so what made me want to get into the acting bug was actually here in Cleveland before I moved to LA. And it was 2015 when they shot The Land.
Okay.
I was an extra. I was a featured extra as a skateboarder at TriStar Skate and Fun Wall before they tore down Fun Wall.
Yeah.
Which was a DIY skate park, and it was awesome, man. It was
I've shot a couple edits there.
Really?
Yeah, but mostly BMX. Like we went out there and rode a little bit out.
Dude, what people have built there themselves
amazing.
The fact that I know the lady that owned it never cleared the location use with the people. My buddy was the locations manager, and I think that was just on him. Maybe either way, but it sucks that's the result. Fun Wall's gone. Either way, I think it's part of the movie. I haven't watched the movie in a while.
Pretty sure it is.
I hope it is at least, right?
Yeah, one of the main characters, Ezzy. He's a buddy of mine. He used to always come through to the Ilthy shop when it was here in Lakewood. Actually,
I actually have been trying. So there's two things that I think I told you this, but I've already known about Ilthy. I've tried to cop a hoodie from you guys, but there's an old one that and I've just been lazy about it.
Which one is it?
It's kind of like this background, but it's let me see.
Is it the year 2?
I'm not sure, but it looks dope.
Because the background is the year 1, and then there was a year 2, and I think there's a year 3. I'll have to once you show it to me, I'll be able to tell you.
Let me see. What I forget which one it was, but there was one for a little bit I was trying to get. And then I actually remember going into Brew Nuts, and I saw what Glenn must have painted, and I talked to them about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Ilthy moved out of the outlet," and so I guess I became not shit out of luck. You can still go on the website, but
you can still there's things online.
Have you ever heard of?
Depending on what hoodie it is, I might be able to help out.
Are you serious?
Well, depending on which hoodie it is, I just wanted to rep
Ilthy because I firmly believe that support local. When
if you just want an Ilthy hoodie, I could definitely help out with that. But if you were talking about like the year 1, year 2, like the year 1s are all but like non-existent.
You're making me blush right now.
But I might be able to help out. I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
And we'll also see what we can do about helping you to promote your music as well. We're not done right now. I just wanted to get that out in the ether.
I really appreciate that because I'm trying not to come about it like inorganic with people. Because no one wants to be pitched to. That's the other thing too. When you're trying to pitch something, you want people, and as an artist, you're fragile. You're sensitive about it. You care.
Yeah.
What people say, but more importantly, if you can't even get it in front of people, and now there's EdgeRank, there's an algorithm, social media. I still find word of mouth is the best means of advertisement with any field,
for sure.
As far as quality. But that's not gonna.
It's not gonna cut it in the quote unquote mainstream.
Have you heard of? Did I tell you about this? Because you guys have Ilthy. Have you heard of Daily Bread?
I have. I'm not super familiar with it, but I have heard of it.
I fell in love with it. Just like I think probably an MGK video is how I found about it. Ilthy.
Okay.
Mac Miller wore a Daily Bread hoodie. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
When I started seeing that, that's when I realized, like, the local Cleveland company, the local Cleveland clothing company and the local Pittsburgh clothing company, I just loved the art and how it was different than what people were buying, in Kohl's and such like that. I was like, this is sweet. There's a whole culture to this, the local brand stuff. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I was going to show it with a Buffalo tee that I couldn't find, so I wore a Cleveland Cycle Works tee.
I mean, it's a dope tee.
Thank you
it's
so
a dope
much.
tee.
I love it. I feel like it should. Respect.
For sure. For sure. I'm not a native Clevelander, but I definitely try to support like Cleveland artists, companies, and things like that as often as I can.
It's kind of a cool city the way it handles itself.
Yeah. I mean, this is where I'm at, so I'm gonna help rep it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even though I'm an import, but still, this is where I'm at.
I'm an import. How long did you live in DC?
Most of my life. So I was born in Brazil, and then I moved to DC when I was a kid. So I was pretty much raised in DC.
In
so
Northeast, you said?
Yeah. But I've lived all over. I lived in Capitol Hill, lived in Georgetown. I lived on Benning Road. I lived in Berry Farms for a while. Berry Farms is not. I wouldn't suggest anybody live in Berry Farms.
Did you ever go up to Alexandria?
Oh yeah. We used to go out to Alexandria all the time. We used to go out to Fairfax.
Yeah.
Out to the Tyson's Corner 1 and 2 to go shopping.
And there's Arlington.
Yeah.
Great Falls is beautiful. You have some big bugs down there.
For sure.
I don't know. I know it's odd, but I remember we were all in my buddy's pool in Great Falls, and this beetle that was bigger than the palm of my hand flew next to me. It scared me so much. I swam backwards and hit my head in the pool.
Jesus.
Sank for a minute. So that bug left an impact on me. Dude, I all I remember now is in that area in Great Falls, there's some massive prehistoric, nasty-looking insects.
Oh, for sure. We have bigger ones down in Brazil.
Oh,
like
I can imagine.
way bigger.
You have flying cockroaches?
Yes. And we have bullet ants.
What do they
So
do?
a bullet ant, if you get bit by one, it feels like you've been shot. And they're pretty big.
I hope I never experienced that.
There's some tribes in like the rainforest and in the Amazon, and one of their rituals is to put your hand in this wicker basket full of bullet ants, and to see how long you can last doing that. It's like one of your passages into manhood.
Oh, dude, if you were drunk, though, and you had all your boys around you and you grew up with them, and that was like a really spiritual experience, you'd be like, oh, dude.
I don't know.
Okay,
That's a hard sell.
Well, what's the ultimatum if you don't? You just get banned from or you just don't
No, you don't
up?
get banned. You just don't. You haven't transitioned into manhood yet.
Oh,
That's it. Yeah. So I'll if that was the case with me, I would remain a boy. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good on that. So you were an extra in The Land. Mm-hmm. How was that experience?
I enjoyed it. This is the first time I've ever been on set, and I immediately fell in love with set. Then shortly after, I bought a camera from my friend, a T6i. Mm-hmm. I love set.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah,
I love set. I absolutely love capturing moments and a feel for a moment, conceptualizing atmospheres in cinema. I love it. It was just a great experience. Stephen Capel Jr. was really nice. I met Lillian Piles, and she was really nice. And I remember that we were just became decently fond of each other in the moment, not like deeply, but it was cool. I got to bond with Lillian a little bit, and my buddy Robert was the locations manager.
Okay, and
so I had already I also became the security manager.
Really?
Yeah, me, and I even got to give my buddy Preston, Crispy, he got to be on payroll as well from Misfits LLC, the people who shot it.
So yet another hat for you to wear, securities manager.
I just wanted to be a part of it so badly. I was like, I'll do the security, which involved us having to sit at Baldwin Wallace all night.
Okay.
And watch the stuff. And I fell asleep at one point, and the guy knocked on the window. I was like, he's like, I don't pay you to fall asleep. I'm like, you're right, man.
That sounds like it should be I feel like your life should be a movie in and of itself.
I believe so. Someone's described it as the prodigal son.
Have you started writing it?
No. I'll let someone else do it.
So somebody else can write that. But
yeah, as long as I play in it. I feel like that's so my memoirs and how I saw them for what they really were.
I remember on one of your stories, I don't know if you were reciting something from a movie, but it seems like you just recite these lines, and it happens kind of often. Like every now and again, you'll do one, and you haven't done one in a while. But that's when I was like, this dude must be an actor as well, because I didn't know that you were. Like I said, I knew you rapped. I knew
You've been
skated.
Watching.
Yeah, I pay attention.
I love
Here's
you,
the thing. I pay attention to my friends. I big up my friends, whether they're digital friends, whether they're real life friends. Like I'm all about my friends. I have this list, right? And it's called the Fuck All the Way Off list, and it's a list that when people just have too much going for it. It's a good list. It's not like a bad thing. It's a good list. You're definitely on the fuck all the way off list. Like you're way too talented. Like you just have too much. You're not allowed to have all that.
So much.
We'll probably talk about that when I do my live show tomorrow. We're gonna bring you up.
All right.
So like what else have you been in? Or what else are you like what type of things are you aspiring to do as an actor?
Okay, as in future.
Or you can tell me about what you've been in already.
I'll go from one to the next. I guess chronological. I moved to California on my birthday of 2016 from DC. Came up, grabbed my stuff. My best friend Chance got in my car. We left. Drove through. Stayed at my buddy of mine in Denver for a couple days. Then we saw Vegas. Wasn't impressed. It's a good city, but it was just like we were just moving out there, so it's not like I had money for Vegas. It wasn't like we'd planned for Vegas. So we stayed at like an incredibly expensive Motel 6, and I was pissed. I was like, dude, this is a Motel 6. It was okay, but I was like, damn, dude, we can't really live like this experience should be lived. Right. We went to Palm Springs. I met his family. That's where he was born. Mm-hmm. So it was cool. We went to my best friend's where he was birthed.
Yeah.
Birthed. And
where he was hatched.
Yeah. And then we drove up to LA. I stayed in West Hollywood for 2 weeks with my buddy. He was so nice to let me stay there because I know it's expensive and helped me. And I was going to the clubs, and I ran into who soon became my roommates at one of the clubs there on either Sunset or it was maybe even Santa Monica. I can't remember. But they live in Granada Hills. It's where now I consider myself still living up there because it's where I go when I'm in California. But I was there for a year, and in that time, quick chance told me Central Casting. Okay. Go to Central Casting. It's in Burbank on Flower Street. I went down, signed up, and things happened pretty quickly from there. I mean, I guess I just fit a look where I didn't have to do too much. I was just now part of this agency that pay you between 130 to 180 a day.
Okay.
And you got fed. You had Crafty, and Union Crafty was better.
Yeah, for sure.
So I loved it. And the first thing I was on was a Funny or Die. Something about vaping. It was a vape competition, actually. Second one thing was The Good Place.
Okay.
My character was Riff Raff. I had to smoke a fake cigarette on set, which I'm still on the show. They never kicked me off, but we got into a fight because I lit a real cigarette. Oh. But the reason why is because I lit this fake cigarette and it tasted. Have you ever heard of K2?
No.
It's synthetic weed spice.
Oh yeah.
It tasted like I had just some miscellaneous herbs that people found sprayed with a I was like, what, catnip or something? It just tasted weird. So I was like, I just lit the cigarette. I didn't even ask. Again, I learned my lesson on that because they sure as hell told me what was going to happen if I tried doing anything ballsy like that again. But it was still fun. And it's cool. My character's name was Riff Raff, or that was the miscellaneous term for the type of person I had to play. But I was dressed like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. I looked just like him. I swear it looked great. What else? I was on Kirby Buckets. That was a union. That was 2. I got 2 union vouchers for that. One was a fitting, which I guess fittings don't count towards SAG. Yeah. Because they have to be an actual role that you actually be throughout their day. But Kirby Buckets was shot up at Santa Clarita, which is only 15 minutes up the mountain in the valley north from where I live in Granada Hills. Okay. And it's beautiful. It was on the set where they shot American Sniper. I have a picture of that on my Instagram. It's when they have me looking like Mad Max. Yeah. It was pretty cool. It was a Disney set, so they took care of us so well. I loved it. Every bit of being on set. Yeah. I talk a lot. I find myself just speaking out of term. Not there. I observe. I love set.
So it's almost therapeutic for you.
It absolutely is.
I've heard that. I've heard people describe it that way before.
Because music makes me exciting. It's not really something that there's no relief. There's no release when making music. I just get more and more excited. Yeah. But there's something about witnessing what I grew up to, because there was never a point in my life when there wasn't colored TV. And I've loved TV. I always loved movies. I use a lot of samples from my favorite movies in my music, and I try to get them in there so that I can't be sued. But I like them to be there just because it's paying homage to I love cinema. I do.
I'm a bit of a cinephile myself. I'm really into movies. I'm an aspiring, I don't want to say aspiring filmmaker because I just like creating media and I'm not doing it to get anywhere with it. I just want to, it's like an artistic outlet for me.
All right, yeah. That's how I feel with the camera work and even acting. Just that, because it is more real life situation. Music, you kind of get lost in your own.
Yeah.
You create it, but I feel like you fill it. I like acting because I get to fill, and you learn that you take places from within yourself where those characters might actually live or manifest and bring them out. And so while I've never had a main role, I love the idea, and I act all the time. I make skits. You might have said,
like I said, I've seen you on a couple times on your stories.
Those lines where I'm like, there's a couple of them that I want to do. Ones where I'm like, now if anybody asks you, all we sell is ice cream. And it's so out of context.
I think you put that one on your story before.
I just think that'd be so funny. It sounds like, what is he referring to? What are they thinking he's
Yeah.
What are they thinking?
I really think you've done that on your, I think you've uploaded that one on your story. I swear. I think that one was from, I think you were in the car. Or I know you were wearing sunglasses. I think you were in the car with that one. I could be wrong.
I've done it quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
There's this one on Instagram. So my friend Chance.
Oh, also real quick, if you want another water, they're right behind you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
But when he lived in Ventura, so I lived in LA in Granada Hills, but he lived in Ventura, and he was staying with he was renting the garage turned into an apartment from the brother of the man who produced 2.5 Men.
Okay.
So he got us in on the ranch. And so I have the script from the ranch.
On the show, The Ranch.
Yeah, I had.
Oh, wow.
It was cool. We met Ashton Kutcher, and they let us film the set a little bit afterwards. You know, it's a live audience, so we were in the audience. I've never got to. We did that like 3 or 4 times. I kept all the tickets because I was like,
nice.
That was just so cool. And I shot a little thing I have on my Instagram with his phone, so it's terrible quality. But they let us. Like everyone was still evacuating, and we just got right on set and started shooting. And they probably looked at us like, look at these kids, just let them do their thing. And it's still on my Instagram where I'm like, I can lead you down a path to beautiful roaring streams of success, but it only may be you who could dip those feet into the waters of glory. Ooh. And it looks. I
think we got a rise out of Patrick.
That tickle you? Yeah, I love it. I love every bit of acting and directing and dealing with cameras and microphones. It's also like a high. It's the education I crave. It's none of what I don't like.
You ever thought about writing a script?
Wow. Yes, me and Chance were actually writing a script called Skank Avenue.
Skank Avenue.
It was gonna be called Skank Avenue Peeps, and it was gonna take place in a place called like Swank Avenue. But it was gonna be like these kids have an inside joke about where they grew up.
Yeah,
Skank Avenue. You don't know?
Oh, so the actual street is Swank Avenue, but everybody just calls it Skank Avenue.
Dude,
I dig it.
I still think it should be done. Me and him haven't met up in a while. Maybe I should do that later. Now that I'm back in town, because he even taught me how to write in format because he took the time to learn through Celtics and WordPress or what was that Final Draft.
Final Draft. Yeah.
So he learned the process and it's cool. I should. We probably should because he wrote a pilot episode himself though, so I haven't really done too much of the writing into it.
What type of stuff do you want to do in the future with your acting?
I want to land a major role. I
Okay.
do. I don't need to become SAG. I actually just got off the phone with a buddy of mine who's a baseball player, and he was like, he's also at SAG, and he's like, dude, there's no reason to become SAG right now, and no one is. It makes sense because like a lot of jobs, unions can kind of get in the way of people getting work,
right?
Because everyone's got to work. So I just figured that's part of it, but I'm not sure. I'm not in the crowd, so I don't know why SAG isn't the move. But that's what he told me. He's like, just stick without SAG for as long as you can, because once you're in it, he's told me there's another thing you can do. Where you send and it allows you to work for both SAG and non-SAG, but I guess that's so far down the line. I don't even. Yeah. I just heard about that when I was on the phone with him in LA. And
what does it take to become SAG? Don't you have to have like a speaking line or something like that? Or
one speaking role will give you SAG. If you,
oh really?
I think then the production company or the agency pays for your voucher, and I'm not sure if you have to pay your dues yourself after that. I think it's $3,000. It's something a year, but I know it's like an initial $3,000 to get in.
Okay.
Right, and I also know that you need otherwise you need 3 union vouchers. If you don't just get a speaking role, if the director doesn't put you in, then you need 3 union vouchers, but they can't be fittings. So I've had plenty of fittings. I was on the fitting for Fuller House. I was on the fitting for Girl Meets World.
Oh wow!
And I remember calling SAG and I sent in all my papers to say could I become SAG because I thought that was what I wanted to do or needed to do years ago. And they were like, okay, well some of these don't count. Some of these are only fittings, and while that's union, you got paid for union. That doesn't count towards your becoming a SAG-AFTRA union member.
Huh. That's kind of strange. Like if it's union and you got paid for it, you would think that it would count, but
I was hoping it's probably because otherwise it'd be easier. It'd be a lot easier for people to just be like, I'm SAG.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
I'm not sure if that's it. Maybe that's just.
I mean, in this day and age, is SAG really needed?
No, that's what my buddy was telling me. He's like, SAG isn't required right now, and especially because things like he was describing on the phone. This may be off topic, but he was like, so with COVID, and it was already happening, but with COVID, it's really been solidified. Netflix, Hulu, Apple TV, HBO, they have way more push power with the directors, and they have way more producing money than even these Hollywood studios.
Oh, for sure.
And the unions out there and Teamsters and all of them, like, they just Netflix can do it all on their own now. They can pay Steven Spielberg whatever they want, and they have that bucket of money. And I don't know how they're doing it. I'm sure they have studios, right? Yeah. But they're able to produce.
They do and they don't. I know it's easier to get your movies onto Netflix as long as you use the right cameras. So there's a list of cameras that
really,
there's a list of cameras that like it's like the Netflix allowed camera list. So if your film was shot with one of these cameras, then you can apply for it to be on Netflix.
Never even heard of that. That's cool. I'm gonna check that list out.
I mean, one of them obviously is a Ari, which is like freaking $50,000 starting.
All right.
I've been eyeballing it, but we'll see one day. Yeah, I feel like this day and age, SAG is almost not needed because you could just make your own. Like you can. You know what I mean? You can create your own thing.
A lot of things that were on TV recently, like, that I grew up on, a couple of things that I grew up watching on Comedy Central and such like that, because I love comedy, started out as YouTube.
Yeah.
Like Workaholics, show I love. It's retarded, but I loved that. It's therapeutic.
Friend of mine
started off as
Rick
mail
Smith
order
used to
comedy.
write for them.
Really?
Ricky Smith was one of the writers for that show.
I love that show.
And he's from Cleveland.
Really?
Yeah, he's a Clevelander.
I smoked a blunt on the property there, and the guy came out, and he's like, you can't do that. I'm like, dude, can we please sit on your roof? And he's like, you're not the only one who asks me that.
They probably get that all the time.
It's like in Van Nuys or Burbank. It's in that area.
The
house that they sit on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if the interior is shot, because you know they do that. But I know the outside is shot. I was on the property. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah, a lot of times the outside is... Like the outside is different and the inside is usually just a set.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that's how it was with wasn't it how it was with like Full House and Fuller House? Like the outside, that house exists, but most of the time they were on a set.
Yeah, I think that is the way that was shot.
It was like that with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air too.
Dude, what Bel-Air? I always wonder, what Bel-Air is he, like where? In California? Bel-Air, California?
Fuck if I know.
I always wonder
I think
where.
So. I think it is. I think it's Bel-Air, California. Nah, because he took a cab there.
Right.
He took a cab there from West Philadelphia. So,
but it looks luxurious though when he pulls up into the house, and I think it is palms.
And it's the same cab.
Yeah.
So
he totally did not cab all the way.
Yeah, did the cab drive him to California or?
He's afraid of flights.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Nah. I mean, I guess there's only.
I have to look that up at some point. Which Bel-Air could that be? It must be in
it would have to be California.
New York City. I kind of always thought it was like somewhere near New York City.
I don't know. Let's look it up. I'll look it up right now. Figure out if Patrick
Siri,
hasn't already looked it up.
The Bel-Air that Fresh Prince stayed in.
I mean, she's probably listening to you right now because she's in there.
Yeah, where? Well, I looked on the map the other day thinking about it, and I saw Bel-Air somewhere near Malibu on the map. So I thought, could that be the Bel-Air?
I don't know. We're about to find out right now.
I had a feeling he was in New York, though, growing up. I always thought, because Philadelphia is semi-close.
I mean, if he took a cab there, it would have to be.
But even then, that's a long cab ride.
Oh, it's Bel Air.
Oh.
Excuse me. Let's see. It's just giving me the movie. They're about to make a movie. That's the only thing that's pulling up.
Oh, nice. Called Bel-Air?
We'll see if Patrick can find something. He'll be like Joe Rogan's Jamie.
Yeah. Dude, I love Joe Rogan's podcast.
That is a lot of like what I'm doing here. It's kind of based on that.
It feels like that. It feels
but with
natural.
way less money. way less money, and I don't have a Jamie.
Would I have been out of line if I pulled what he did? You know, he just pulls out a blunt, smokes it.
You know what? Only because I'm straight edge.
I like that.
Yeah, only because I'm straight. If I was a smoker, then you'd be more than welcome. But only because I'm straight edge.
Well, I will not do that. Rest assured.
If we were doing this on the porch, 100%. I support the movement. Like I don't.
Well, it's important not to be obnoxious with it.
Yeah.
That's also one thing that living in California taught me is that, dude.
Wait a minute. Hold on, real quick, Patrick. Where is it? West side of Los Angeles. So
that's a long cab ride.
Yeah, he took a cab from Philly to LA. Holy crap.
The sights he saw. Man. The stops he made.
Yeah, that's like a day and a half, like a full day's trip.
The bill that was run up.
Oh my God. Well, Uncle Phil had cake.
Yeah.
Uncle Phil had that cheese.
Yeah. That's Skrilla.
Yeah. So you just got back didn't you go out to LA for a little bit recently?
Yeah, I was out there for 7 days.
What were
8 days.
What were you doing out there, if I may ask? Was that a music trip, an acting trip?
No, it wasn't acting. So my buddy has been asking me I just moved back to the old place. So when I moved back from LA, I moved into this house I'm renting just now in Lakewood, or West Park rather. Okay. And I lived there for a year. And then I moved back home for about 8 months and moved to Gates Mills. Now I'm back here. And he wants to move to LA, and he asked me to move in with him, considering I know the area, and we're both in similar fields of work. He's a photographer, and he's actually he's very decent. He works very well around Cleveland. So, and I was impressed to see how many models he had paid for him. Like he was getting paid to shoot in LA. It's like he already had this set up. I was so glad to be a part of it because all I looked at it as, yeah, I'll show you the neighborhood. We'll kick it around. We'll smoke pot. We'll rent a car. We'll eat In and Out. We'll get you familiar, but he was so busy. I
love In-N-Out Burger.
Actually, I do too, but I like Shake Shack more.
I've never had Shake Shack.
I love Shake Shack. But either way, so like it turned musical. I met up with a friend of mine named Cassidy. He's an LGBT rapper. Like he happens to be gay, but he's really good, and I'm excited to see what we get together with this beat he sent me. And then one of the models that showed up was my friend Logan from New York. He's actually from D.C., and he moved to New York City, so I kept up with him in New York City, but I haven't seen him in some years. To see him at our Airbnb shooting was great. We have a song now. He sent me a beat that his producer made for him, and he's never released a song yet, so this beat he sent me, I'm excited. Again, I like working with beats that aren't my own, because I would have never thought of that.
Okay.
So it turned musical, and it turned opportune as well. I met up with some people that were. It was a surprise to meet up with the people who had such pull. Like I got to pull Hop Yamashiro. I pull Hop Yamashiro. That's a big part of my LA trip.
Nice.
You know the Japanese restaurant on the top of Hollywood Hills. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't legal. It's not like the most cool thing in the world, but it felt cool to drive up there, move the gate, be in that lit up pool with all the lights, and be like, nobody knows I'm here. That just set the tone for me wanting to come back. LA was mostly just reminding me that, hey, LA never left. Yeah. And my landlord, my roommates treated me well too. When we got out of the Airbnb, I rented the car, went up to Granada Hills, and for 4 nights, I was up there. And actually, one night I was in Long Beach. It was just such a revitalizing experience. It felt refreshing, and nothing was out of place. Still waiting for me. Okay. So that's what I was really going to see is LA quite like it was years ago when I lived there? Can I still make it work? And absolutely yes.
Things are still pretty shut down there, though, right now, huh?
Yeah, but I'm good at socializing. I just get out there, word of mouth, believe it or not, is just so. It works very well in places like New York City and LA because the rule of proximity. You're bound to run into more people, and whether they're part of this or that, you're just bound. It's a numbers game. Yeah. And out there, it's so dense. You run into quite a bit of people. I ran into this girl who's phenomenal piano. She hosts events, and it was great. And she invited me back. She's like, "Oh, let's do this and that." And it's just great. It's great to immediately make even more friends on a trip that was supposed to be a little bit more business and not really. It was supposed to be casual, but there was an agenda. And while it didn't necessarily happen because my buddy had to leave sooner than I did, I had an amazing time. I met up with some people who I think are going to help me out a lot. Just knowing them and being good friends with them, I hope that it works out.
I have faith that it will.
Yeah, I think it will too. When you present your best self, you do tend to receive people's best self. Not always, but it's not personal if you don't. It's not personal.
Real quick, you said that your friend was a LGBT plus rapper. I feel like there's like a movement going on where there's a lot of people from that community that's like, especially in like, because it's something that really doesn't get seen in hip hop. You know what I mean? Like you'll see it in pop, you'll see it in
I'm trying
R&B.
to break that.
Yeah, exactly. So do you know many others, or
When it rains it pours. I was looking, and now it's coming about.
Yeah.
I've come into like, I've heard new artists that I'd like to get in contact with, as well as the ones that aren't as big that I am working with. There's some that are making quite a bit of noise. I've also noticed that it's like there's a spectrum. There's quite a bit of just flat out gay rappers. There's drag queen rappers. There's that LGBT spectrum is huge.
Yeah.
And it encompasses so many people, or in cases, whatever, so many people that it's a niche. And I'm bisexual, so I feel no reason not to break that boundary. I love rap. There is a lot of toxic masculinity in the world, but not enough that I think it's a big agenda of mine to fix.
There's a ton in hip hop.
But yes, in hip hop, and it's funny actually. I find it kind of ironic if you know anybody who's, it's ironic because we're all sensitive, we're all creative beings, and those lines can get crossed. But I don't think people should be disrespectful or, again, it's not personal. We're all experiencing this life in our own shoes, and and why make anyone else feel uncomfortable trying to get to where they're going, or I didn't word that right, but like we're all here together.
You sound like you worded it fine to me.
I feel like the hip hop community is so judgmental on not necessarily the homosexual activity as much as the demasculinization of man as well as the black man. I think a lot of my friends, their families I've seen it where it's kind of, it's not respected still by an older crowd, right? To be colorful, and I don't mean color as in color of skin. I just mean to be expressive and not necessarily shoulder a burden and wear that like you're a tough man and you've got you've got everything figured out.
Especially so in urban setting.
I guess that's what I meant.
Yeah, I feel like in the urban jungle, we are usually almost like taught, not taught, but like it's almost like the way you're raised. Like we tend to look at being gay as like something is wrong, whether you're gay, bi, whatever, as it's wrong or it's an issue, it's a problem. Like whenever you're in an urban environment. But the funny thing is that all of us who grew up in an inner city, right? We all had gay friends or like a gay cousin, or you know what I mean? Like even going to school, we had friends that were like, oh, that's so-and-so, like, but they're gay, but that's just Chris, or that's just, you know what I mean? But then it's almost like the I don't want to say hate, but the phobia of it is almost like a learned behavior.
I know people who are genuinely afraid of a gay agenda. I know people who are afraid of allowing something to become too big for them to control, so to speak. Like, don't let it overwhelm us. I know a lot of people who are afraid of, if you accept the gay culture or just the equality movement in that sense too much, you'll lose a bit of yourself in the process. I think people are afraid of losing their own values.
That's such a weird thing to me. That's such a...
And the thing is, I know exactly
what
of it.
Yeah,
but they just need to understand that, like, God, I don't even want to use a biblical thing, but like, what do they say? Jesus walked with prostitutes, murderers, thieves, and stuff like that. Be who you are, even when you are surrounded by that of which you are not. Yeah. First and foremost, but then understanding that respect is not like a double-edged sword. Giving it to someone doesn't harm you in any way. If anything,
it's not contagious.
Right. I mean, actually, I think respect is contagious.
Respect is definitely contagious. I meant like being gay or bi. Right. It's not contagious. You know what I mean?
I don't know why that.
I don't know why people think. I don't know why. You know what? It's something that I never understand.
But I mean, we're in a year though, and every year forward, hopefully, it seems like though that's just becoming less and less of
an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people via legislation, like government. There's Hollywood executives for sure. I mean, so many.
100%.
Yeah, like they've been there for so long too. It's almost funny that it just took this long. I've looked at it this way, same with the pop movement. They both happened when I just got out of high school. 2013, when I got out of high school, I fought so hard to be a pothead, right? Silly, but all of a sudden, it's happening. Yeah. Like, these things that you shouldn't feel like a criminal for being or doing anyways are being lifted. They came like roughly, I think pot came first. first.
I think pot came a little bit first, and then gay marriage was right behind it.
Right, and at that point, my friends have always said they're like, as so California goes the country or something like that. So like they've just started a movement with new vetoes for equality, so to speak. Because I think even legalizing pot is kind of an equality movement. Mm-hmm. I think because there are things that ruin your life, and I've never seen enough data to show me that pot will, and I haven't seen enough data to show that pot creates a criminal. So I think there is there's a discrimination. There is a towards, and I don't think it's really that big of a deal. It's nothing that I'm fighting for or against, but it's something that I think until then, there were still people holding on to that. No, it's anyone who smokes pot is not as just and as admirable as someone who doesn't. And I just think that's untrue. I think that's absolutely untrue. There are statistics, but those factors in it itself do not create a less than admirable person. My bad.
I mean, they both have their similarities. I mean, being like the queer movement and the pop movement have a lot of similarities. I mean, hell, being queer in any way was kind of illegal here up until not that long ago, honestly. Like, if you really think about it, they were still arresting gay people in America up until, 50, 60 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, wasn't it?
If I'm not mistaken, in the grand scheme of how long this country has been here, that's a fraction of time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, whereas you could be, like, being openly gay isn't a crime now, but in one person's lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, think about this. When my mom was a child, if someone was openly gay, they were kind of looked at as a criminal.
And there's so many examples of gay community being beaten by police as well. I don't want to go into deep that, but it's just like it was not only okay, it was like people loved to see
it was celebrated.
Yeah, yes, exactly. It was celebrated. I actually was fortunate enough to meet some of Harvey Milk's actual friends. When I was in, last year, I was seeing someone in Silicon Valley, and I was going out to San Fran quite a bit. And when I lived in Cali, I also went up there for 420 and stuff. So I love San Francisco. I do. But I was on the Castro district. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was probably even trying to bum a cigarette off someone. something simple. And
Those damn cigarettes.
Right. It was something silly like that. And I was on the corner where they have a bar named after Harvey. Mm-hmm. And these guys had heard me talking, and they were like, "Do you know anything about your history?" Because I guess I told them I was bi, and they were like, "Do you know the history of the LGBT rights movement?" And I didn't, and I was honest about it. So they got a cab, and they showed me a Harvey Milk's monument, and they then, from that point, told me, I went with them. I was like, what are you going to do? And they took me to this monument where they discussed with me the relationship with Harvey Milk, what he had done. They told me about the streets, the direction he marched, and all that, and I think I even had tears at some point when it hit me later on when I left their company. I was like, wow, I don't even realize how blessed I am to be born now. I mean, because I am so would you say? Unapologetically myself that I don't ever want to have to explain myself for what the fuck I'm doing, and if it's not harming someone. But to think that 30, 40 years ago or 50 years ago I might have had to, and developed some sort of psychological problem because of that, the inability to be myself.
It's such a wild thing to think about that literally 40, 50 years ago, it was like criminalized.
Yeah, this country's like acting pretty, like, I mean, we're getting there, but that hasn't been so, you're right, that hasn't been so long. It's one lifetime, not even a full lifetime.
Not even. And even after it started to become decriminalized, it wasn't till recent time, I would say the past like 5 to 10 years, where it's just starting to feel like it's openly accepted. You know what I mean? There's still a long way to go. It's just now it's like one of the things that always like sat in the back of my head is, wait a minute, they can't get married? Like how does that even make sense?
To be honest, that's why I kind of didn't even know what to do when they were fighting for gay marriage. I wasn't really even for it. I just didn't understand. In my mind, I thought, why aren't you allowed to anyways?
Exactly. Yeah.
Why, that's weird to think about for me. It's just
it's a very strange thought, like, to think, okay, well, you're telling people at that point, you're telling people who to love. You know what I mean?
Or but you're setting roadblocks. Like, you're missing the statement, I don't want you to love another man or a woman another woman. You're not coming out and saying it, but you're putting a roadblock, basically.
I think that's my neighbors.
Neighbors. But, it's counterintuitive.
I mean, even now, there's still, people in places of power that they try to do these weird freaking arguments about trying to link like homosexuality to like pedophilia and things like that.
That's a big topic right now, especially with Harvey.
Yeah.
Now it's huge. My friends and I do not ever want to talk about pedophiles, but it seems to come up now that the Netflix documentary is out. Mm-hmm. The correlation, and then you also, what do you say? Epstein. Oh, yeah. Jeffrey Epstein. My bad,
Harvey. You said Harvey. I was like, Weinstein might have been a pedophile too. We never know.
Yeah, my bad. But Jeffrey Epstein. Ever since then, it's been a big topic of discussion. I myself, when I was in Capitol, I used to go down and visit my family in D.C. And as well as my time in L.A., I've seen what to me looked like not a link between homosexuality and pedophilia, because I wouldn't say that at all.
Right.
But I would say, first off, it's a control thing. Mm-hmm. If it's to be acted on, it's control. I imagine it's got to be, because you know that you're. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but I've noticed where people seem to not like. I've seen where people have abused their right over those, not just who are younger, but those who are. Who like, it's an ableist thing. Those who don't have what you have, it's hard to argue with, and that pedophilia line, I can see it's associated with a certain lifestyle, a swingers lifestyle that is often often associated with homosexuals too, because they're usually swingers. So I think it's just association. It has nothing to do with each other, but people are often like my buddy Tanis, one of my fellow collaborators. I think he truly believes that there's a gay agenda, which is ultimately trying to become a pedophilia agenda. I feel like with what happened with Jeffrey Epstein, I'm sure there was some huge thing, but most of those people aren't homosexuals. If they were going to Jeffrey Epstein's island, they weren't homosexuals.
Definitely not. Yeah.
So while it could be either, but the biggest example you have is not a homosexual.
Exactly.
It's a straight white billionaire. Yeah.
That's and the wild thing to me is that most of the pedophilic people that have been captured or exposed or haven't been gay. Like Harvey, like Epstein,
or even people who have
R. Kelly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
dude. That's a unique one. People have really stood up for R. Kelly.
They kind of have.
Yeah, I guess
you make a hot record, and I guess another wild thing too is, so I've talked to people that think the gay agenda is a thing.
Yeah.
And when they talk about like the gay movement and the pedophilic movement, right? So they'll bring up, okay, well, why is this guy trying to date this younger dude? And I'm like, what? The younger dude's like 19, 20. That's not, you know what I mean? I think people also use words wrong, because there's an inherent difference. There's three things. You have pedophiles, you have hebephiles, and then ephebophiles.
Oh, what? I've never heard those two.
Okay, so a pedophile is a person attracted to children.
Okay.
A hebephile is a person who's attracted to prepubescent teens. So from like 12 to like 15-ish.
Oh, that makes sense.
And and a phebophile is somebody who's attracted to post-pubescent teens. So 17, 18, 19. Although 18 and 19 is legal, that's Yeah.
I find and even if you're older, like I'm 25, I was 21, and there were 35-year-olds I was attracted to. I see nothing wrong with that. There's a lot you should know better, right from wrong. I didn't know that there was that that line, but I could see how now. Okay, if there's this like demographic or the cycle. There's this bin where people who are attracted to that age group are in. I could see how, okay, well then are you one or aren't you one? People are throwing that around because if you're clearly like in your 40s and you like someone who's 18, I mean, I think that is a sign. Like that is a sign of something that if allowed, you know?
Yeah.
Because what if they were 17 and no one knew? That's when you're younger.
Right.
Well, what is it about that 18-year-old that you like so much? Is it because it's just over the age limit?
Yeah, it's a little weird, right?
Yeah, that does seem, I get that.
Like when you think about it, it's a little weird.
Even, I guess, even up to 21, if you're like a lot older, it's like there is something a little uncommon in the grand scheme of things for someone who hasn't developed an attraction to someone growing at their own age or roughly their own age. But, I mean, my grandfather and my grandmother are 11 years apart. And certainly wasn't a thing, you know. So I don't know much to think about it, like as far as the pedophile, of course, now. But when you said, what is it called, a hebephile?
Hebephile and a febophile.
A febophile. I feel like you got to be careful, like try to monitor yourself. If you're like if you're like in your 30s and you're still attracted to an 18-year-old, I'd try to evaluate what it is about that 18-year-old you find attractive, because I think that is a sign of something off.
I mean, it's either a control thing or it's purely physical.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I was thinking before. It's control. You know, you have that ableism over them.
Yeah.
That experience, maybe the way with words.
And there's no way that is inherently exclusive to the gay community at all whatsoever. There's no way that that's even connected. You know what I mean?
They can't
like,
be.
I don't understand whenever people talk to me about their fear of a gay agenda. I always wonder, like, what the hell is this agenda? You know what I mean? Like, are people scared that they're going to turn us gay? Because that's not a thing. So, like, what is it that people are afraid of?
Well, maybe people are afraid of their kids being influenced by gay. There's a RuPaul's Drag Race. They've had like a 13-year-old on there, and it took me a moment to finally. I don't watch the show, but I saw that they had a kid on there, and I clicked on the bait, and I was a little at first like, wait, the things they say on this show are really repulsive sometimes. Like, it's funny, it's in good taste, but you wouldn't have actually, never mind. I have seen kids on Dave Chappelle's show, but the point I was trying to make is you wouldn't generally have on the show where you hear penis, asshole, and just some pretty vulgar terms. You wouldn't have a kid on there dressing up with them. That kind of is influential, but I don't think it's intended to be that way. But even when I saw that at first, I was like, that's probably the only example I've ever seen that validates the claim friends like my friend Tanis and others have said, where I'm like, okay, that I didn't necessarily agree with off rip, but maybe it's because I'm also looking at it with an expectancy, like a perverted mindset. I'm expecting them to be grooming this child when actuality this child could already be a fan of the show. Just came on because it's what she loves.
Yes.
So I don't know enough about the details with that. But that was an example where I was a little questioning. I've seen where people, because it's looseness. It's, again, that swinger lifestyle. People associate the homosexual community with that swinger lifestyle, like carefree, moralless. And it's certainly not true. But I think that's also because it's still new. I mean, the culture of the gay community is still new, and
it's definitely new to a lot of people.
It's become popular, though. I mean, what's their phrases?
Well, that's what I mean. It's like there's a lot of people that are I don't want to say just now finding out about it, but because it was banished for so long, you didn't see it just out front and center.
Right.
And now that you're starting to see that, to a lot of people, to them it's new. I mean, gay people have been around since humans have been around. So, but to a lot of these people that are shut into their, like in their box, and they only see what like the news tells them or whatever, to them it's a very new thing.
Dude, it's detrimental when the only news source you have is what's fed to you by your related feed and pre-recorded podcast thing.
Means you're not out there living.
Like during COVID, I've traveled more this year than I have in years since I lived in LA, and I've mostly because if I want to do something, I have to do it. But while traveling and throughout the riots too, I've seen like there's still a lot of good happening. There's a lot of bad, and it's televised, and it should be. We're at 2020. What a time to be alive. But there's still a lot of great that's happening, and people, and so on a smaller scale. In people's lives, I've witnessed great. I've witnessed a lot of my friends excelling right now. I've witnessed a lot of people get what they wanted. I've witnessed a lot of marriage ceremonies, like not just the one we saw. A lot of my friends have been getting married. My friend Ricardo got married. It's
Congratulations, Ricardo.
Yeah, Ricardo. But I mean, I just see there's so much good happening too. I try not to. I'm a victim of it. I intentionally stare at my phone quite a bit with this idea that there's something that's gonna pop up. It's gonna, it's like a rush. You got to step away from it.
You get addicted to the technology.
Yeah, like okay. So for example, I was in Nashville and I cried. I heard that they were burning Town Hall. I went.
Really?
I talked to my friend Jennifer, and she said, "No, they never burned Town Hall." That was said. The news said it. There was a building next to it that caught fire because of a trash can or something like that. Someone burned it, but they didn't burn Town Hall. What I had heard though, what I had read on the news was that they lit the building on fire. It was ablaze. And,
oh wow!
And it brought me to tears. And then I realized, like, oh, that's silly. What an emotion that just provoked out of me without being actually true.
Oh wow! So it was a building next to Town Hall.
I think it was a church, and it might have been even a black-owned church. I think the narrative I had heard was completely wrong. It wasn't protesters burning down Nashville City Hall. It was someone probably who could have been on any side just wanted some violence. That was a big thing. Some people just wanted to see some fireworks.
Yeah, some people just want to see the world burn.
Exactly, and they could have been on either end. I know you hear of this Antifa group, and it could have been this way or that way. But someone, I guess, was trying to light the church next to it on fire. That's what Jennifer said. She lives there now, my friend Jennifer. So
okay.
I believe her. I was only there for a short period of time, and I did just fake news. It wasn't fake news necessarily, but it was worded in a way where it was like lying by omission. It just put it. It
was inaccurate news.
Yes. Yeah.
Really quick, I want to switch gears really quick.
All right.
I want to talk about you and modeling. Is that something that you do often? Is this something that you're dabbling in? Did you just get into it? Have you always done it? Because you're pretty natural in front of the camera.
Thank you. A couple years ago, I was doing I met up with two guys from here in Cleveland named Quincy Taylor and David Ford.
Okay.
And I shot for their glasses. And that was fun because until then, I've taken pictures of myself, had pictures taken of me, but I've never been on a photo set.
Yeah.
I do love modeling. I do think it's... I feel like I should. I feel like I should.
You definitely have a look.
Yeah, and I would like to keep going with it. Just gotta keep my eyes peeled.
What type of things interest you when it comes to modeling? Like, what type of things would you want to do?
Clothes. I love.
So like high fashion stuff like that.
I do high fashion, but I feel like I want to earn my way there. I love street gear.
Okay.
So I love Ilthy. I love Daily Bread. There's a lot of my family's from Guam. So I've been looking into the other day when we were in Nashville. I was just spending all day researching what's the best local clothing company that has a graphic or a hoodie or a tee that I like because I love wearing streetwear.
Okay.
But I also I kind of dress up. I have an androgynous look, and there are days that I feel like this is probably a girl's thing. Mm-hmm. There are days that I dress pretty much completely feminine without a wig, and I just do because I've
seen on your story.
I love it, dude. I love the way clothes feel and fit. I love the idea of tailoring something.
Yeah.
And how unique clothes can be. I don't even know enough about. I wish I knew fashion to even a degree to be able to explain it, but it interests me quite a bit. I'd love to model, like, experiment new clothes, stuff like that people are creating new stuff that people are creating. I don't mind. I'd love to model for like Fendi, Gucci, or even Balenciaga, something like that. But that wouldn't excite me as much as someone who just made this new type of poncho, or someone who just created a sweet graphic tee. That there is heart in that.
You ever thought about creating your own?
I would love to. I have a company, and it's incorporated here in Cleveland. It's called Silence, Psylence.
Okay.
And it's kind of off the wall. I've done a lot of photos for other people, and if I were to do anything that involved taxes, I'd have it on that EIN. But we only made one graphic. It was a baseball tee, and it was okay. It just had our logo, but I thought spreading the logo, my logo, isn't going to be what makes a clothing company that I'm a part of sell. It has to be more original than just throwing your logo on there. So I haven't tapped into it like I'd like to, but yes, I would love to at least have some sort of part in the operation of it. I have a friend, Chance. He drew Christopher Walken, and it was in the Fine Arts Center in Menor for like 2 years.
Really?
Just sitting up there. He's so good at it. He graffiti. It's incredible. If I had access to design clothes, I'd have to bring him in on it. He's so good at it. I don't know how it's not what he's doing for a living.
I think you should do it.
Yeah,
100%. I think you should do it.
I should.
I would 100% support it. I would wear it. I'd wear it on the show.
Thank you. I will send it to you.
I was telling so my co-host on our podcast, his name is Pun. We call him Pun Fu Panda. But I was telling him Pun Fu. When I told him that I was going to have you on, he was like, "Oh, where do you know him from?" And I was like, "Oh, I know him from Facebook." And I was like, "He's a fascinating guy." And one of the things you said earlier, where you were talking about like sometimes you'll dress in like full like quote unquote women's clothing because clothes are clothes, right?
Right.
And I was telling him, I was like, man, like with Blake, you never know what you're gonna get. Like you'll post a video of you in the car rapping, and then you'll pan down and you're wearing a dress, and I'm just like, yo, I love this human. Like I love this person, man. Is like that's one of the things that I talk about, you being unapologetically you. Like if you want to go skating in a mini skirt and a hoodie, you're gonna do it. You know what I mean? And that's definitely a beautiful thing. I think there needs to be more people in this world like you, like 100%. And I don't just say that, like I actually mean that. Like you are a very unique individual. You are a beautiful human being inside and out. You're a very genuine person, which, like I said, I only, saw from knowing you on social media. But when I met you, you were that exact person. You know what I'm saying? You're very, very genuine, very beautiful, very, very spiritual, very kind. You're a very open individual, and it is truly an honor and a pleasure to have met you. And I really thank you for coming on and talking with me like this. I really appreciate it.
I thank you for having me. It's been great. And you've not only I was nervous how professional this is. You have made me feel comfortable. It's the most important thing to me. And in any atmosphere is comfort, coziness. I feel so comfortable and cozy right now in your presence. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me.
That's what it's all about here. Although, for the people watching, it's not that professional. I'm in my living room. You guys haven't seen my kitchen. The storage room, I call it.
The fact that I can do a full 360 right here.
Oh, yeah. That cable might get twisted up in you.
Can I have one of these?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
I literally just, did you? Patrick, you heard me.
The love, man.
There's also a non-alcoholic mojito behind you if you want that.
I already opened this.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. I feel like that does sound like a good idea.
I have a sweet tooth, so it's not very good to me. Tastes like carbonated air. But
wait, is a sweet tooth when someone if you taste something that's too sugary or sweet, it hurts?
No, so that's a cavity. Having a sweet tooth means I love like super sweet things. You know what I mean? So like candy. I put a ton of sugar. If I drink tea, I put a ton of sugar in it. I don't anymore because I'm trying to get my svelte self back. So I cut out like pretty much all processed sugars. But every now and again, I gotta have a cheat.
Are you those one of those people? Not that I judge you if you are, but do you drink diet?
I don't drink any caramel colored sodas. So I don't really drink soda.
I don't drink soda at all either.
I'll drink Sprite. When I do drink, I'll drink Sprite. So I'm not a caffeine person.
Ginger ale too?
I'll dabble in some ginger ale.
I like ginger ale.
I'll dabble in ginger ale, yeah. Every now and again, root beer.
Dude,
but root beer is caffeine free, I found out. So
is what? It is?
Yeah, root beer is caffeine free.
Maybe that's why I don't like it.
Oh man. All right. Blake, I think for now I have to bid you adieu.
All right, thank you so much, Thaiger.
We got to do this again.
All right.
100%. We got to do now that you've been here and you're acclimated to it, we definitely 100% got to do this again.
Did you also hear me earlier? I love your Metal Gear Solid action figures.
Oh, that is I'm addicted to Metal Gear.
Dude, that's like sweet. 100%. Snake? Is that the main character?
Yeah. Solid Snake.
Dude, that's sweet. Well, thank you so much.
I have more than that in some boxes. Thank you so much, and we'll do this again soon.
All right.